Bowling for Columbine or The Hunt for Red October?
The Hunt for Red October.
Guardians of the Galaxy or Coyote Ugly?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Lethal Weapon 4 or How to Train Your Dragon?
How to Train Your Dragon.
Catch Me If You Can or North by Northwest?
North by Northwest.
No Country for Old Men or Sin City?
No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or Adaptation?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Adaptation.
It's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly versus Adaptation on this episode of Film Fights. Hello everyone, welcome to Film Fights, the podcast where we use a random movie generator to pick two films and pit two contestants against each other to convince me and maybe you listening out there on what to watch next. My name is Matt Dodd, and today I'm joined by a returning guest, Mohammed Joma, and a special new guest of the show, event director for the Yollywood Film Festival in Atlanta, Rudy Jones. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Rudy.
What's up, Mohammed?
What's up?
Working with the film festival, I'm guessing you see a lot of good movies, but is there anything in particular you see in the last week or so that was of interest? Not necessarily for the festival, because obviously it might be hard for people to see that.
Yeah, I actually went to the DragonCon Film Festival over the weekend, and I saw a really cool like 3D animated Norwegian movie called Under the Apple Tree. It's like a short. It's an animated like short. I also watched Speed, which is a classic, and
not at the same time. Like,
not at the same time.
Back to back.
And I also saw this really awesome documentary called Children of the Stars. That's about this like weird sci-fi cult that like religion founded by these like two older people, and the tenet of their belief is that like all science fiction are things that actually happened.
Okay.
Awesome.
In other galaxies. Children of the Stars is on Hulu.
Sounds like a very interesting premise for a documentary for sure.
It's amazing. And it's like very positive.
Like cults.
Nothing bad happens to anyone.
Cult stuff. Really?
Wow. Okay.
It's the best cult ever.
Very good. Well, Mohammed, how about you? Do you have any good movies to recommend like that?
I
set the table high.
finally just saw The Revenant, which I loved, but I feel like I'm so late to the party that I also watched Tangerine on Netflix recently.
How was that?
Very good. Surprisingly, really, really funny and really good movie, really touching movie. It's about a couple of transsexual prostitutes, and one of them gets out of jail, presumably for sex work.
Right.
And she's been in for like a month, and she like finds out her fiance has been cheating on her while she was in jail. So she like goes out to beat him up and find the girl and beat him up. But it's all shot on iPhones,
that's
right? Which is surprisingly not distracting.
Yeah, it looks good.
It looks fine.
And it's like
it feels like a very good indie movie. I don't think they're really actors in it, or at least the main girls aren't actors. Right. So it's all very sort of probably very lightly scripted.
I think it's like mumblecore, so it's very like natural, low key.
Interesting. Yeah, it's been on my list for a long time. I know it got a lot of buzz around festivals last year, so it's been. Yeah.
See, I honestly kind of went into it like thinking. I mean, I always thought it looked good, like from trailers and stuff. But I was kind of like, oh, it's like a gimmicky thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? This is a
iPhone,
gimmicky thing, but it was so much better than what I expected.
All right, we're getting down to the topic at hand. So, Rudy, you have Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
How long has it been, you think, since you've seen that movie?
Probably a kind of long time. I would say like maybe like 10 years.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably about the same for me too.
I first watched it when I was like, I'm really into movies. And
sure.
I'm gonna watch all the movies I'm supposed to watch.
Yeah.
Totally.
It is one of those.
So I caught in there, and I mean, from what I remember, it's great because it's a like genre breaking and genre making movie.
If somebody's not aware of what the movie is, like maybe they missed that, maybe they're not as cinematic.
So I can't. The plot is super convoluted, or not convoluted. That's not a good word. It's very complex. It tells like a really big sweeping story because it takes place in the West, like at the tail end of the American Civil War. So it has a lot to do with, the soldiers kind of expanding out west and dealing with the like Mexican armies.
Right.
So it's very much about war, and it's an indictment on violence, and but it's a story essentially of three men: the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's Clint Eastwood and two guys I cannot remember.
Van Cleef, something Van Cleef. Lee Van Cleef.
Lee Van Cleef. And then the other guy, he has a big role in the movie. He's kind of like a goofy guy, but they all know where this money is buried. But they all know different parts of essentially the map. Like, one of them knows the cemetery it's buried in, one of them knows the name of the grave that it's buried in, and the other guy's just taking advantage of all that. So it's just like really cool, big, sweeping Western, and it's made by an Italian director, Sergio Leone, and it's a part of the like Fistful of Dollars trilogy. And it was the last of those movies. So
very good, yeah. And Eli Wallach is the
Eli Wallach.
Yes.
Great actor. So we'll flip over on the other side of the table. Mr. Muhammad, when was the last time you saw Adaptation?
I've seen it a lot, so it's hard to say. It was one of the movies that, when you're younger or late teens, watched multiple times.
Okay.
Watched it a few times. But I'd say the last time I saw it, it's got to be close to 10 years ago, maybe 8, 9 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
So it's been a while, but I watched it a lot.
Cool. I'm glad you have the same amount of memory.
Yeah. That's usually pretty common. Yeah. And that's interesting that you say it's something you watch a lot as a teen. I would say a lot of listeners probably have no idea what this movie is.
Really?
Yeah, and I think a lot of our listeners, I think it's very cinematic. Like, it's important to like people that are in the film industry or like interested in that.
Sure.
But I think mainstream audiences probably are not as familiar with this.
It's coming out of a lot of talent. Spike Jonze directed it, and Charlie Kaufman wrote it, both who continued on to have even bigger careers, although I think it was a big enough movie at the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's the story of a screenwriter. Charlie Kaufman actually writes himself into his movie, so it's the fictionalized version of Charlie Kaufman writing an adaptation of a screenplay of a book called The Orchid Thief. He got approached to write the adaptation. Instead, he wrote a movie about writing the adaptation of the movie, in which he also writes the adaptation of the book. As well as fictionalizing a lot of other stuff, including a fictionalized twin brother of himself that is also a screenwriter. And as I'm saying all this, I should mention that Charlie Kaufman is a very cerebral and meta and weird.
Rudy said the word convoluted earlier in reference to her movie. I'd say your plot's a little more convoluted.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. You've skipped over probably the biggest part of that movie. Two Nick Cages.
Nick Cages, I know. Very
Nick Cage
important.
plays both roles.
And also Nick Cage
great.
is one of those actors where it's just like, yeah, Nicolas Cage is awesome, except for like 80 or 90% of the movies he's in.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is one that'll make you go, Nick Cage is awesome.
Yeah, you'll remember like, oh yeah, Nicolas Cage can be a good actor.
Yeah, but I mean, it definitely is. It's definitely a Charlie Kaufman film.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with any of his movies at all,
being John
New York,
Malkovich.
being John Malkovich, it has that similar kind of feel through the whole movie.
Sure. And Spike Jonze too, who went on to direct Her. Most recently, I think that was his most.
I think that was his last film, yeah,
which was a big hit.
Where the Wild Things Are as well.
Yeah, I did Where the Wild Things Are, and it does have that kind of a feel to it too, because there's a lot of really sort of touching and emotional side to the movie.
Cool.
It's kind of twee.
Twee.
I feel like all of his movies are a little like twee and cute, and sometimes it's like a little too much.
I can see that. I can see it coming across that way to people for sure. I'm a big fan of both of these movies. It's been probably a decade since I've seen both of them as well, so we're kind of all on the same page. But to kind of set the opposite in, Muhammad, are you a fan of Westerns in general? Or are you more?
I love Westerns.
You're more of a John Wayne guy?
No, I love Westerns in general. I honestly, I saw The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I think for the first time. I think maybe I caught like bits and pieces, but I saw it for the first time in the theaters at Landmark. When I was in high school.
Oh, cool.
And that was my favorite Western for a very long time. Eventually, I feel like maybe I either watch it too often or just I get a little bored by it now. I kind of prefer Once Upon a Time in the West, as well as a lot of modern Westerns. I think there's great modern Westerns.
You know why you like
I
all those
mentioned
movies?
The Revenant. Why?
Because of The Good and the Bad and the Ugly. It like set up the like format that we almost like more closely associate with Westerns, like as
sure, absolutely,
and post baby boomer moviegoers.
Yeah.
And it's an entertaining enough movie, but I will say that, especially sitting home watching it, on the couch, you can appreciate a lot about it, but there are not only more entertaining movies, but there's more entertaining Westerns out there, I feel like.
It may not be like minute for minute the most entertaining Western. It is long.
It's long, and there are some scenes that the movie could almost whittle out and be okay.
I disagree. I feel like it just tells this really complex story. It's something that is more than just like good guy cleans up the town from the bad guys. Like it shows all of this dimension and all the characters, and it shows you really like in depth how they work together. And that, like I said before, they're not all really good. They go from bad to like super bad. Yeah. So
but the good isn't even really a very fleshed out character, and never has been through the Fistful of Dollar movies. Not that that's a bad thing. I think that was a pretty interesting aspect of Western movies from that time of keeping your lead character mysterious, but
kind of stoic, but a lot of things are happening around him, and it's
right,
how he,
and
like
it's
deals with
well,
everything.
I feel like with that quietness you get this like idea of intensity and like of a life lived. I feel like that's what like Clint Eastwood is bringing to it, where you're like, this guy has seen some stuff
and looking the way that he looks.
Yeah.
probably arguably like his most iconic role as well, like what we remember him for the most.
Oh, for sure. I think it's his like westerns and Dirty Harry.
For sure. So would you say Good, Bad, the Ugly is your favorite Western?
I would say of that era for sure.
Yeah,
I really enjoy all of the trilogy, but I think that that's the one that sticks out most in my mind.
It's also it definitely is the most sort of cinematic in the way of it feels very much like a movie, like a good movie.
Yeah,
some westerns can feel some westerns can feel a little bit more like, which I like the simple format of a western where it is sort of this, good guy saving a town or something stupid like that, or getting revenge or whatever.
Well, everything in this movie is, there's so many like beautiful shots and stuff. Like when I think about a couple of the things that happen throughout it, it's like and the way that it's shot is very deliberate. And very artistic. It's like, the differences between these big wide shots that just really establish the like openness of the like the landscape, and then these really super tight close-ups of the actors to show what they're really going through. And I think that's a really cool, and like the standoff at the end where they're in the graveyard, and the graveyard's like just like all of these graves all surrounding them, and they have the like Mexican standoff. Like that scene is amazing.
It's a film that you watch because it's a masterpiece to watch. It's a film that you can sit and study and listen. If this weekend you have an opportunity to see a movie in the theaters, go see it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to watch something at home, you might want to watch something that's a little bit more just entertaining at face value. Adaptation is very funny. Just one of the, if not the most clever movie I've ever seen. Kaufman does that. But it's hilarious, it's touching, and it's a very smart and endearing story. Also, there is a lot to be said about adaptation in that same way of being... I look at it, if you're a fan of well-written things in general, that you can just lose your mind delving into the screenplay to that movie. The cleverness aspect of it, the way that, his brother is sort of the... Well, first of all, he's brand new to screenwriting in the movie, but he's getting all this success by doing things in the big dumb way of writing a screenplay of car chases and explosions. So just like the most sort of regular trope things, while he's trying to write this very honest and real and very emotional thing, and really failing at it. And then eventually it's interesting the way that Charlie Kaufman, the writer of the movie, melds those two characters together and kind of into one thing, and their story into one thing, and brings in all these other elements, that they've been talking about into the movie that you're watching.
I feel like it's kind of like bloated and complicated though. Like there's so many,
but it works. But it works very well. We didn't even talk Chris Cooper and Meryl Streep in it, but the way that their story works into the Donald and Charlie Kaufman story, the Nick Cage character stories, is phenomenal, and it's a brilliant turn at the end when it all kind of comes together. It sounds more complicated than it is, because in the end it's actually a very just funny and touching movie.
It didn't have any kind of rewatchability for me. Okay. I felt like it was kind of bloated, and it was like this great concept, and there was good performances. I think Chris Cooper might have won Best Supporting Actor for that.
I think you might be right.
And he was great in it, but I just feel like when you compare the two, one of them has like an indelible mark on the way that we engage with movies and see movies today. Like so many people drew inspiration from that. But adaptation, it is what it is, and it was good at its time and place. But I feel like it's not going to age quite as well as The Good, the Bad, the Ugly has.
I mean, I completely disagree. I don't think that maybe future generations are going to get as much out of it, as far as a film study, goes as they would, or anybody would, from the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But I think it is going to remain as entertaining as it is now forever. I don't see how that movie could be any less entertaining to future generations.
The story of Good, the Bad, the Ugly is like a universally true story. Everybody wants money, like everyone, and there are archetypes that are like very defined, but they evaluate them like this whole anti-hero movement that has informed all of the art, like all of the TVs, especially that we see, like started here, and even in starting there, it's still good. It's still entertaining. One final thing I really want to say about the movie is just like I love a good story of how a film was made. That's always like very close to me, and there's so many interesting stories. The way that this film like came to be and the way that it was shot is crazy because like Sergio Leone was kind of a crazy person. Like he was he was a perfectionist, and he would the reason that the dialogue is like off sync is because they didn't record dialogue at the time. They filmed most of it at Cinecetta, and then they filmed another part of the rest of it, like the outdoor stuff in Spain. But he would do that because he liked to just yell the entire time while they're acting. So like if you like think about how like tight and serious the whole movie is, just imagine him just screaming his brains out the whole time.
Nuts.
And also when they explode the bridge in the movie, they did it wrong the first time because there was like a translation-ish error when they were like saying, they had like sound speed, or not sound speed obviously, but like camera speeds. It was like the same word in Spanish for something else, and they blew the bridge and had to completely reconstruct the bridge and do this thing all over again. And it also informed like how Clint Eastwood makes movies. He's like one take.
Hans Zimmer did the score, right?
Oh my God! How have I not even talked about Ennio Morricone yet? Oh my God!
I was waiting for that to drop.
I got so worked up. That's like the best score of all time. Like that theme is insane.
I'll give you that. It's
exactly
better score
what it is.
than Adaptation.
Yeah. Who did the Adaptation score?
Carter Burrell.
Weird pull.
You got a computer in front of you.
I got a computer in front of me.
But you happen to be looking at that name.
Actually,
like immediately.
It's one of the questions I had like prepped of like talking about the music to set you up for it, and I was like, not that he's nothing. He's done all the Coen Brothers stuff. Like he's done some great stuff, but
he does. He does
I
do
don't
great
know that
stuff.
Name,
but yeah, Ennio Morricone, like that's
hard to beat that.
Yeah, hard to beat
I
that.
own that on vinyl.
Yeah,
it's great
exactly.
soundtrack.
Like you could just listen to that and not even watch the movie.
It's,
and
like,
totally great.
Yep,
that's it.
Everybody knows
and
that.
Paul
Good, the
Newman
Bad, and the
is
Ugly.
there, and
Robert Redford.
Yep, we got to wrap this up. So great discussion, guys. Before I make my final decision, we're gonna have a couple trivia questions for you, though. You did mention about Sergio Leone like being kind of crazy, and Clint Eastwood supposedly gave him a nickname. He gave him a nickname of a Looney Tunes character. What Looney Tunes character might that be?
Is it Yosemite Sam?
I'm going Daffy Duck.
It was Yosemite Sam. Because of his bad temperament, Eastwood turned down working with him again in Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah.
Really?
So it was
Yeah.
like,
Charlie
offered him
Bronson.
the role of...
Charles Bronson.
He's always got rope.
Yep. So between these two classic films, only one of them won a single Oscar. You guys mentioned what you thought it might be earlier.
Oh yeah.
What was the film and what
I thought,
category?
though,
did it
It's
win?
Adaptation. I think Chris Cooper for best.
I thought it
supporting
won
actor.
adapted screenplay though. I'm gonna go adapted screenplay.
It was Chris Cooper.
$1.
But it was nominated for adapted screenplay, which is crazy to me to think that Good, Bad, and the Ugly wasn't nominated for anything.
I know that's.
It didn't have a
totally
good like
weird.
critical reception when it first
No,
came out.
which is weird.
But yeah, I mean Hollywood worked differently, and so.
That's true too. That's true. What iconic element of his outfit did Clint Eastwood hate in The Good, the
Poncho.
Bad, and the Ugly?
Totally the poncho.
I'll say he didn't. I know what it is. He hated smoking cigars.
No, that dude loves smoking. No, what?
That's true. Cigars. Wow, you just 3 for
Clint
3 of the
Eastwood.
trivia there.
$1.
He hated smoking them since the director was a perfectionist, striving for multiple takes. Eastwood had to smoke quite a lot.
Oh
During
gosh,
the
yeah,
filming.
for continuity. That
Hated it.
ugh.
So we'll wrap this episode up. Mohammed, I'll give you your final thoughts on Adaptation. What are you thinking, bud?
I think it's an insanely clever, funny, touching movie, and one that deserves multiple rewatching. And it seems like it's been a while since you saw it. You deserve to watch it again.
I should watch it again. All right, fair enough. So, Rudy, your last thoughts on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
I think that it's it's a beautiful movie. It sounds amazing. The score, of course, is so important, and just the way that it tells a story. Like I've said before, I mean, it's genre defining and genre breaking. And that period of American history is so interesting, and they covered it in a really interesting way where, like, not only is it a Western, but it also, like kind of deals with this part of American history that most people don't really know about, that kind of Wild West atmosphere. So I would say it's also worth rewatching. I think it's something that everybody can watch and enjoy. So
awesome. Thank you both, for sure. So I'll probably wind up watching both of these movies because I really want to watch both of them. You guys talking about them. You both did so well.
We all win.
I regrettably am going to go with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because I really don't want to watch a 3-hour movie. But you did a great job, and you got all 3 trivia questions right, which has never happened. So
pointless knowledge wins.
I feel like that kind of has to go your way.
It's probably the only time in my life that will win me something. So.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah.
I was really off on trivia today. That was terrible.
So our winner last week, Remington Swales, picked the Pokemon movie.
Oh, God.
For us to talk about.
He would.
He sure would.
Oh, we to talk about now?
Yeah, well, we don't have to talk about it very much because...
No, let's talk about it for another 20 minutes.
Please don't.
I have an interesting story of how I saw it.
Okay.
I went to go see The Messenger with my parents because my parents had some real kind of loose ideas about what R-rated movies were okay for kids.
Sure.
But that was the movie where Mila Jovovich is Joan of Arc. And the movie opens and there's just a town being like completely pillaged and destroyed, and there's like wolves ripping human bodies apart, and they were like, you need to go. And they just like sent me off. They're like, go find something else to watch. And I went and watched the Pokemon movie.
Fantastic.
And the only thing I remember about it is at the end of the movie they all save somebody, maybe Ash, with their tears.
Weird.
Oh, wow.
What a weird movie.
I'm not looking forward at all to rewatching this because I don't remember it, but I will be watching it soon, I guess, so we'll see. You remember it all, Mohammed?
I didn't watch it.
Okay,
I feel weird about Pokemon because I'm 31. I think that I know a lot of kids my age when Pokemon was out was watching or playing video games or whatever, but I still feel like I was right above that age, like just a little too old. I mean,
you could have
I definitely probably
could have
got into it, but I was probably like, no, Pokemon's for little kids.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into it. And now almost regrettably so because I like Super Smash Brothers and they all look pretty cool.
That's fantastic.
But, I didn't watch the show. I didn't watch the cartoon. I didn't really play the video game. So
yeah, and I don't want to like completely hate on it either. I did play the game like crazy. I watched the cartoon, loved it. I just not really looking forward to revisiting the movie. I don't remember the movie being really good.
I bet if you like
tell Remy
it may be really
knock
fun.
back a few with friends, it might be fun.
That's what I'm hoping.
Just don't
for.
tell Remy.
If you can cry and help
know.
him,
He doesn't
come
listen
back
to
to
this.
life like Peter Pan.
He doesn't listen to any of these either, so he'll never find out.
This movie sounds dumb.
So, Rudy, what bonus film would you like to recommend to listeners?
So I know that Muhammad likes Patrick Swayze movies.
Okay.
So my original one was going to be a Patrick Swayze movie, but since I won and Muhammad lost, I'm going to save that for another time.
Okay, all right.
And I'm going to recommend Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, we were just talking about that.
Beautiful.
It's so good. I took my mom to see it, and it was like the perfect movie to take your parents to because it's like cute and funny and is this really amazing story. It's Tika Waititi, the same guy who did What We Do in the Shadows and Boy, which are both amazing and hilarious. I think it's going to be great.
Which I'm super excited about.
Hopefully he doesn't Mikhail Gondry Green Hornet it or whatever. But
I think he's going to do really well.
Yeah, like the comedy is so natural in it, and it's such an amazing story. Not Sam Elliott.
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill, who is amazing. He's in a lot of John Carpenter movies, which I love. Is great. The kid in it is amazing. Can't recommend it enough.
Awesome.
I really want to see it. I feel like it was only in theaters for a few weeks or a couple weeks here.
Yeah, it had a very limited release.
Like it was gone before. Like I realized it was there, and I was like, "Oh no, crap! I missed it." I'm really looking forward to catching up to it.
Yeah, you'll probably have to get that one on VOD.
Yeah, definitely will. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. That's an awesome recommendation. That's great. If you haven't heard of it, definitely look it up. I may have made my decision, but listeners out there, let us know what you think about this fight. You can comment on the Film Fights podcast Facebook page, or you can find me directly on Twitter at Matthew Dodd. You can check out previous episodes on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you might be listening to podcasts. Be sure to subscribe there so you don't miss out on any future episodes, and give us a little rating and review because it helps other people find the show. Muhammad, where would you like people to find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mojoma. If you follow me because of this podcast, you'll be the first.
I followed you because of this podcast, actually.
You'll be the second. And Matt, I thought you would have followed me because we're friends, but that's all right.
I should have, but then I realized, like, hey, I should actually get on Twitter more. Hey, Muhammad has a Twitter, and I did that.
I also have complete creative control over Kanye West's Twitter page, so everything that you see on there, I have cultivated and created myself.
I didn't know you publicized that,
yes,
but yeah,
I mean,
it's impressive.
I like to say it, you know.
It's
People
cool.
are still going to be like,
should,
oh, Kanye
you
West.
You should get
Kanye.
credit for it.
But it's me.
Yeah,
so.
you should get more credit.
I do it
People
for
don't.
him, obviously.
Well, of course.
Yeah, so. He pays me very little.
Well, of course. I mean, he's got to keep his money close.
That's right.
I understand.
And his enemies closer.
All right, Rudy. So the Yollywood Film Festival is from Thursday, September 29th through Sunday, October 2nd, which is coming up soon. It's at the Avondale Town Cinema?
Yeah, it's at the Avondale Town Cinema in Avondale Estates, Georgia. It's a super cool place if you haven't been there before. It's this like cool little Swiss German town just right east of Decatur.
Okay.
We've got a great lineup, a lot of fun stuff going on. We're kicking off things on Thursday with our like music video block. There's going to be a lot of really great stuff. And for filmmakers, you come out, we're going to have some Q&As and panels with everything that goes on. Through the weekend, we'll have screenings. And on Sunday, we have our wrap-up. We have a special screening of another local film called Six Love Stories and our closing reception. And we're going to have a little panel of why Georgia, why make movies here and how to keep the industry here past the tax credit. So please come out, enjoy it. We have a lot of interesting things that you might not get to see anywhere else. Sure. And also, support Southern independent film. It's a very near and dear thing to my heart.
Yeah.
If you want to keep up with us, you can check out our website, yollywood.org. Follow us on Facebook, Yollywood Film Festival. We're pretty much Yollywood Film Festival across all social media, but the Facebook page is going to be the best place to keep up with stuff.
Okay.
And me personally, you can, I guess I'm on Instagram, Fruity Bones.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Fruity Bones.
So, or you can be my Facebook friend. That's cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, thank you for having me. This was really fun. And suck it, Muhammad.
Oh, ouch. Just
kidding.
I am looking forward to Yollywood.
Yeah.
We'll be there. So.
Yeah, everybody.
This is the third annual, right?
Yeah, third annual festival.
I remember hearing about it last year and the year before, actually, and just didn't make it.
I'm glad to hear.
Do it
at
this
least
year.
You heard about it. So we're trying to steadily grow. This is our third year, and we got bigger and better things planned this year and beyond. So
that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you too, Muhammad. Come back. Yeah, whatever.
All right.
Thank you guys out there for listening. Enjoy the movies, everybody. One final note. Seriously, guys, check out Yollywood. We're going to be there. I'm planning on being there at the least Saturday and maybe Sunday. I know Muhammad's going to be around. I think Remy's going to be around too. Plus a few other film fighters are probably going to be there throughout the weekend. It's only about $25 for a pass for the whole weekend, and it's only $10 for a day pass. You can get to several movies, see a bunch of shorts and all that for just $10 to go out for the day. So we hope to see you around. You can check it out at yollywood.org, and we hope to see you there. Enjoy the movies. See you there. Enjoy the movies. See you there. Enjoy the movies. See you there. Enjoy the movies.